Well, here we are, day 4, segment 4. It seems like we're sticking to the segments by day so far. And, so what happened yesterday? Segment 3. Segment 3 was actually fairly enjoyable. A lot of shade, like what you're seeing now. This is really what I envisioned the hiking to be like, what you're seeing here for Colorado. Really nice. Some shade. It's open in the forest, so you can kind of see through, and some places it's even more open where they've been doing debris clearing, forest fire mitigation. So my trail mates and I were talking on segment 2 about what's a good place for me to go do a resupply because of the whole stolen food bag on day 1. And the end of segment 3, there's a town about 10 miles in or 8 miles in, Bailey, which is listed as a resupply point. So we're talking about doing that, and then the trail mates and I, we sort of camped out. We caught up to each other at the end of segment 2, and wound up camping there. And I'd met another woman at the fire station on segment 2, Bethany, and so she left like at 6 for segment 3, and I left at 7. Others left later. And I caught up with her, 4 miles in or so, and we wound up just sort of either hiking together, or I think oftentimes I'd hike ahead and then I'd rest longer and she'd catch up. But anyway, she was telling me about her plan was to actually go into Bailey, and she was planning to spend a few days there, just chill out, relax, rewind, or rejuvenate. And I thought, well, hey, perfect. We can hitch a ride together or similar, or get a shuttle, and she can show me where the store is, to get food. So we got in. I got into segment 3 about a half hour. The end of segment 3 about a half hour before her, and it was cooling off nicely. And then the thunder started. Rain was coming, and it started pouring. Ah, you got some water.
Hey, Mitch. Yeah.
Hey, Dave. Good job.
Yep. Just in time. I just ran out too.
All right. Well, I could have spared you now that I think of it.
Oh well. I kind of it's good for me. My predictive systems,
Yeah. Yeah.
I studied out the comments and looked at how it's depicted on the map. Actually, there should be a little bit better water in about 2/10 within the next 2/10.
Sure.
But this right here
That looks fine.
is very easy to fill up.
Yep. As long as you got a little trickle there, you can get your bottle in there.
Yeah, and it's really nice to have a little waterfall here. This has got a little 6-inch waterfall,
Oh, so you're using the pure thing, sanitizer or whatever they call it.
Aquamira
Aquamira.
is the particular name brand, yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta wait 4 hours and then you're good with it, or?
No, 20 minutes.
Oh, 20 minutes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Super handy.
Yeah.
Lightweight, it works really well, and there's nothing to break,
Yeah.
nothing to freeze.
Right, like your Sawyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I've used it for about 3 years now.
All right. Well, I'll move ahead, and I'm sure you'll pass me.
See you down the line, I hope.
Yep, I'm sure. Okay. A little bit of rock hopping here. All right. Take it easy. Nice. So back to the story. I get back into we get to we're just getting deluged at the end of the trail there at segment 3 end, and so I get my rain gear on, and Bethany finally shows up, and we're like, okay, she had some signal apparently at the top of the hill before descending down to the trailhead, and she called this Linwood Inn, I think it was called, and she said they have plenty of space, but we need to get our own ride into town because they provide one free ride. You know, typically hikers get a hitchhike into town, and then the inn will give you a shuttle ride back to the trail in the morning. So, you know, we have our rain gear on. We're standing there in the rain, and with our thumbs out. It's a gravel road, dirt road back. It's sort of a back road. But remember, it had just started raining, maybe 20 minutes earlier, and we see this sort of steady stream of cars coming up the hill, heading towards town. We're sticking our thumbs out, but of course, we noticed that virtually every car was full of kids, dogs, kayaks, inflatable beach toy things, dogs, and nobody's stopping. And we find out later that there's a lake down the hill. Can't remember the name of the lake. Yeah, anyway. And so when the rain hit, everybody packed up. So we're standing there, then the train stopped. So we figure all the lake goers have gone. And so we start walking towards town. We're thinking it's 6 to 8 miles, I think. And we start walking and eventually, get to a busier road maybe. But then sure enough, a Jeep, it actually wasn't a Jeep, it was a Hyundai Sonata, pulls up, and it's a woman who's actually a ranger and works the region around this lake, and she was packing up for the day and heading home. So she was wonderful. Her I don't know how old it is, 10-year-old Sonata, 15-year-old Sonata, had 300 and some thousand miles on it. She had no problem taking in a couple of drenched hikers, all wet and a little dusty, putting our packs in the back, so that was perfect. And Lauren was her name. She's just really nice. Talked to us on the way down to the town, dropped us off right at the inn. Super sweet. Exactly the kind of trail, kind of not exactly trail magic, but the kind of hospitality you expect from the locals who are familiar with the trail and the hikers and the situations they're in, and it was really nice. So then we get to the inn, and I'm looking at, we got a bunkhouse. The beds don't look great, but it's clean. There's a shower and there's a bathroom, and they have all this trail supplies a hiker could possibly need. In other words, you don't need to go anyplace else, walk around town trying to find stuff. And I'm like, so I could resupply, pay for a ride back to the trailhead, and it's 3 or 4 miles minimum till the next camping spot. You can't really camp at the trailhead there at end of section 3. And I was already getting on to, I don't know, it's 5 o'clock, I think, 6 o'clock, somewhere in there. And I'm thinking, why not just stay? I think hiking in another 3 or 4 miles isn't really going to make a big difference. If I start at 8 o'clock, 4 miles into section 3, or at the 0 point of section 4, rather, 4 miles into section 4, or at the 0 point of section 4, it's not going to make a huge difference. And I'll get comfort. So, decided to stay. And got everything settled in. And a few of us went to, there's a restaurant right next door. And, this is a small town. I think she was saying, not even 10,000 people. And, Good morning. Oh, thank you. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing, sir?
Excellent.
Good.
Looking forward to it.
Good.
And yeah, so we went to a little restaurant which was right next door. Typical small town kind of a diner with, you know, pine wood floors and a few. I didn't see any elk heads on the ceiling, but anyway, they had decent fare. I had the Chipotle chicken gemelli mac and cheese, and boy did it taste good. And then we ordered a round of garlic rolls for the table. Oh, those were tasty too, fresh rolls from some local bakery. So good dinner, back to the lodge, peel off the plasters of my feet, kind of clean my feet, massage, a little oil, keep them supple, and settled in for what could have been a good night's sleep. And I say could have. I was sleeping on a piece of plywood basically with a really thin, I don't want to call it a mattress, but kind of like a couch pad, no, like a lawn chair thick kind of pad, maybe an inch thick, pretty old. So no matter which way I laid, you know, I got pressure points on my hips or my shoulder or lay on my back. It's so flat, my lower back hurts. So I didn't get a great night's sleep, but I know I did fall asleep for at least 3 or 4 hours at some point there. So I got some sleep, you know. Anyway, I was feeling kind of weak this morning. So then I go into the storeroom there at the inn, and they've got all of the supplies, Cliff Bars, you name it, which I had resupplied myself with the previous night. And they had free coffee, so I popped a thing of Keurig in the machine and ran a cup of coffee, dumped a packet of hot chocolate in that coffee, and man, within a few minutes of downing half of that cup of coffee, I was feeling great. So I think that just tells me my body was, it was needing some calories. And while I'm sure the pasta hasn't processed yet, the sugar in the hot chocolate is probably what did it. And here I am, it's about 10 o'clock, probably 3 miles in. Yeah, just past the 3 mile mark, I think. There's no mark, I'm just saying that. And I'm feeling really good. So section 4, according to the map, it was a lot of uphill. And sure enough, straight out of the trailhead, it was uphill for a long way. But the saving grace is that it was a fairly shallow and steady climb. Like even right now, what you're seeing, we're climbing, and a lot of it is like this. It's not too bad. So I expect there'll be some steeper sections ahead, but so far, if the climb is as gradual as this, I should be able to do just fine. And we're going to get our first real stopping point will be at 8.9 miles. There's a surefire stream. I can resupply water if I need to. There's camping in that area, and I can decide if I want to stay there or if I'm feeling pretty good. I'll probably soldier on. There's a 6 mile cross of a really big meadow, fairly flat, gently rising. That'll be nice. So I might get myself through that and then figure out where I'm going to camp. I may not make it quite to the end of section 4, and I've heard that there's really no good camping right at the end of the segment, so I'm not sure there's a region to push on beyond possibly the end of the meadow. So we'll see how it goes. And I should look a little better today, having had a shower, although hard to tell because you really don't make yourself, really didn't spend any time making myself pretty. All right, well, that's all for now. Coming down to a creek. Peppa.
Yes, sir.
You made it.
I made it.
Is this,
This is the first reliable water since we started.
yeah, what mile are we at, do you think?
I think we're
4?
4.5 from 4.3 or something.
All right.
4.4.
All right. Yeah, because I won't need to get water till at least, well, the 8 mile mark, there's something else?
Yeah, there's 2 more seasonal streams and about 4 miles from here.
Yeah.
And they say they're seasonal and unreliable, but the comments within the last 5 days on both of them say they're good.
Yeah.
And there's a decent climb starting right here.
Oh, yeah. I see some switchbacks coming
It
up.
looks like about...
Well, that windy sound you're hearing is, that's me. Just putting one foot in front of the other up this rather long slog in the sun mostly. That's Dave ahead. He stopped for water at the creek where I stopped for a snack, and we'll be leapfrogging all day probably. He's from Boulder, so he very much has the Boulder advantage over me altitude wise. Yeah, so very hot, mostly just because I'm working hard. Temperature's nice, it's in the 70s. Now we're crossing the meadow. 5 or 6 miles of exactly what you're looking at. Open country, lots of pretty flowers. Stream down there in the holler. Can't really see it, but it's down there. And this is just a slow uphill for 5-6 miles. But the big thing, of course, is it's really exposed. Got the sun umbrella out. I'm glad I remembered it this day because it's pretty hot. It's a nice breeze here, but still pretty hot. And so the umbrella is really helping. Well, we made it across the meadow. This is looking back from where we came. Made it all 6 miles. Just a couple more miles until we finish segment 4. And then we're going to head into section 5, 3 or 4 miles, and make camp for the night.